even my mental image of Avedon, of what he looks like, was from kind of that same era later in his life. And so when you started sending me inspirations, the lookbook, just the kind of vibe of the whole thing, and I got to see him as this much younger photographer. In fact, I don't even know how old, maybe close to my age at that
Probably,
time, you know,
yeah.
early 30s, looking all dapper. It was just this perfectly, like, you know, it's a coincidence, but obviously it's much more powerful than that, right? We've all been talking about how these things fall into place in a way that's just almost like magical, like it's destiny, you know?
Well, and even more powerful than that to me is how you and I have been recently reconnected.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even thought about Carmel Snow at the time when I went into your studio to be photographed in the way that you've been inspired by Richard Avedon. And then all of a sudden I went down the rabbit hole of Carmel Snow and decided that she was going to be the main focus of the issue, and started pulling historic images and piecing them all together in lookbooks. And then I realized Richard Avedon was part of her little trio that's always historically photographed. And still then I didn't put it together until I sent it to you and you said, you know, he's one of my heroes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all this weird magical synchronicity, like you said, that's involved in this project. And it's really been super meaningful to kind of bring it all to life and carry it forward and work together on that. And speaking of projects, I mean, what are some of the, aside from our project together, what are some of the other things that you're doing right now?
So I'm just wrapping up this portrait project, Uniform 300, which essentially is a portrait project celebrating San Antonio's diversity for our 300th anniversary, for our tricentennial year. I'm really excited about that because, well, first of all, it's so different from everything I've done, but really I think the reason this project feels so important to me is that I get to work with my mom on this. And she is, as you know, an art consultant and curator, and she was a gallerist and all this stuff. But she's the one who has inspired me and encouraged me for, you know, my whole life to pursue whatever creative endeavor or pursuit I was interested in, which at times was playing guitar or being in a pop punk band in high school, playing Blink-182 and Green Day songs, or then I had different marketing jobs in the music industry, like out of college, and was kind of wanting to do the business side of the music industry. And then, you know, whatever I was doing, and now, you know, photography and some videography, she has been right there beside me just saying, do it, you know, because she's a woman who was raised in South Texas, same life we kind of were raised in, and she wasn't necessarily surrounded by a bunch of creative types or people who knew about contemporary art, which is really what she's passionate about. And she created that for herself, you know? So I think knowing, as her son, seeing that she legitimately, she could have had opportunities that could have been pretty easily presented to her, but she chose to follow her passion. And now I see, you know, and of course as a teenager, I'm like, oh, my mom is a dork. Like, my mom is so nuts. She's at the Spurs game, like, raising the roof. Which
and
now
making you play hooky, right? To
go to
contemporary art.
Right. So she would make, there were times we would play hooky from San Antonio Academy and, like, early, and she'd be like, this is an important art show you need to go check out. There's so many things that at the time I just was like a typical, like, teenager or whatever, just like, oh, mom. And then as I got older, I'm like, she's the coolest person I know, you know, she totally inspires me.